live. Okay, listen. So we all have seen little conspiracy theory things and videos that people post that maybe a lot of people don't believe because we don't know the people. I just seen a video on LOL dolls, and when you soak them in ice cold water, and the lingerie outfit that this little girl came out in. I'm gonna do it myself since my daughter has a ton of them, and we're gonna find out if it's really real. Okay, here we go. Okay. Little girl. Nothing on her. Okay. Here we go. You guys. Oh my God. Are you serious? Like, you guys see this, right? This is not fake, okay? Oh my God. Okay, nothing on her. You can see she's kind of got little white fishnet, which is kind of weird. Here we go. Look at this. Can you see that? It's a little devil tail. Hold on, let's see. Do you see that? Devil tail and wings. Nothing really else. But that. Like, that's enough for me. Go with the third one. Just a little black girl. Nothing really on her. Okay. This is crazy, you guys. Like, this is not okay. This is not okay. Look at this now. Do you see this? Like, right? Nothing. Like, she had nothing on her before. Like fishnet stockings. Who puts that on little LOL dolls for kids? Who? Here we go. Once again, here we go again. Here we go, guys. Look at that. Like what? Like, okay, so you can tell, look, she's fading now. Dip her back in. You see with your own eyes. Like, that's not okay.
It's the little comb. So, I mean, she does all that. You touch her tummy, and she makes little singing sounds, and she's super cute. Well, I was showing her to my husband, and I heard some other sounds that I had never heard before. And if you look down here, I figured a video was the best way. So I just touched her tummy, and she's going to sing for a minute. But down here is a button right here on her privates. And if you push those, she makes these sounds. Boop. Like a gasping sound. And I know some of you may not think this is a big deal, but especially since I've had kids, this is wrong. For one, this button, it says nothing about this button on the box. Nothing.
They're a cute little toy. I'm sure you've maybe seen them in the store, maybe not. But they make slime, super cute. You collect all different ones. And there's one on the market that is really disturbing. And I wanted to show you. So this is a cute little thing that comes with it. This is a milk carton, obviously. And it has, have you seen me? On there with a phone number. Okay, you don't think much of it, but little kids are playing with this toy, opening this toy, and they're going to be curious. And it says, please call. So what do? Your kid picks up the phone, and they dial the number, 1-888-TOO-MUCH. T-O-O, where's M? M-U-C-H. Okay? That's what it says on there. Bam. And this is what happens when you call the number. Oh, we're gonna put on the speaker.
Yeah. I'm waiting for your call. Want me to send you a sexy pic of me? Press 1 now to receive naughty triple X dust.
No, what? This is bad enough as it is, but if you press 1...
By pressing 1, you verify that the mobile number from which you are calling is your own, and you consent to receive promotions from MMS Broadcasting and NTS through auto-dial calls, text or picture messages, and pre-recorded voice messages.
So I'm not going to
Consent
press
to
1
receive these
because
calls and messages is not a condition of purchase.
I do not want to get them. But if all you have to do is press 1 and your phone is going to get text pictures that your kids should not be getting.
Facial recognition technology uses artificial intelligence to identify individuals and is already part of our everyday lives, from tagging photos on Facebook to verifying our identities at airport immigration. But the use of real-time facial recognition technology in public CCTV cameras has proved controversial in cities around the world, drawing comparisons to China's surveillance and social credit system.
We are living in a surveillance state, not unlike China. It's just that our repercussions are different in the Western world. But I think we're actually following down the same path.
Controlled environment where people aren't necessarily looking at the camera, and we are recognizing everyone who's there. We've got customers in, well, all the main countries in the US, in Europe, in the Middle East, in Asia, Australia, and so on.
Are you in talks at the moment with the Australian government about using your facial recognition technology here?
Yes, we are talking to various groups in Australia for that.
But he was reluctant to say exactly where his technology is being tested.
I sense that they're a bit cautious and they're concerned about how society will view their use of the technology.
So is
and
that
I think they have not
councils or
addressed.
police that
Sorry?
are doing? Is that councils or police that are doing trials?
Both.
So which local councils and police areas are trialling your facial recognition technology right now?
Again, I think I don't want to talk about specific customers here.
Transit is installing state-of-the-art security cameras at its South Jersey facilities. It's all thanks to a more than $2 million federal security grant. The cameras will be installed along the river line at rail stations and in bus garages. They're equipped with tracking and intrusion detection software.
Orlando police have expanded a pilot program testing facial recognition using city cameras.
Everywhere we go, everywhere we set foot, rest assured that there's probably a camera that's watching all of our activity.
New at 6, we found out they eventually want to expand the program to public and private cameras across the city.
The City of Ontario is updating their camera system they have. They want to lower crime in the city, and they think the cameras will help. They will use facial recognition technology. Our Joy Prechtel spent the day in Ontario and tells us how it'll work.
Cameras like these ones are being installed throughout the city of Ontario. They're going to be in places that the city owns. So think of, Beck Park where I am, as well as places like City Hall. Now, the city is working to add more throughout the year. And I talked to one downtown business owner today who told me she wants that extra security.
London police are set to roll out live facial recognition technology across the city, despite privacy concerns from the government's own surveillance watchdog. The camera will send an alert to authorities when it detects anyone on wanted lists.
It has trialled the technology. Now it's to begin using it for real. Scotland Yard says facial recognition cameras will be vital in spotting criminal suspects and missing and vulnerable people.
Cameras in and around schools are nothing new. From the gym to the cafeteria, Raytown High has 100 of them. District-wide, there are 1,000. and security staff can only watch so many screens at once.
This is just one of those cameras at Raytown High School. With this new system, when you walk past that camera, if you're flagged as a problem, security doesn't have to actually see you. You'll have an alert sent out to security and administrators.
So this facial recognition measures 150,000 points on your face.
Assistant Superintendent Dr. Travis Huck says the idea came to him when this happened. The accused shooter was a former student with a long list of disciplinary actions against him. He wasn't actually expelled, but the expulsion list that Raytown keeps is an example that jumped out to Dr. Hucks.
An expelled student comes to the entry or walks in front of any camera, they're going to be flagged because they're in the system as expelled. An alert's going to be sent out. If we go into a lockdown before he's even in the building, the police are already on the way to help secure the threat.
Denver police are still considering using this technology in investigations, and it can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, I like that my phone recognizes my face to easily unlock it, but on the other hand, do we really want some Orwellian dystopia where the government can track our every mood? You know, last year, CBI, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, was considering employing the Morpho Argus, a real-time video streaming facial recognition program. We checked yesterday, and CBI told us they didn't end up buying that program, but they did purchase other software that allows them to take images of people and compare them to mugshots in the federal database.
All it's doing is using what's readily available.
And that is the argument you'll hear from law enforcement, that they're just matching this to mugshots. Critics, however, argue that it could be used on those of us who've never been arrested. If we have an ID in the system, we could be used in a virtual police lineup without our knowledge.
This is my neighborhood of Moscow, and in all the years I've lived here, I've never seen it this quiet. This is a city that's now in coronavirus lockdown, and although there are some cars here, some people are allowed to go to work. Basically, there's very few people on the streets. And the way that the government here is enforcing this lockdown is to use high-tech surveillance systems. This is my usual walk to work, but I've never noticed before just how many security cameras there are on this way. And in fact, there's one right here next to this poster with details of how to keep yourself safe during this pandemic. There's a camera there up on the top of the bus stop. Now, tens of thousands of these cameras across Moscow have been fitted with facial recognition software, and that works in real time, scanning people's faces and sending instant alerts to the police, who can then detect anyone who might be breaking the quarantine.
Visitors might just see robots cleaning the floors. There's a look at that robot right there. The airport in Hebron is the first in the country to use neo-robots to clean terminal floors. They run around the clock, and these pictures given to us by AvidBots shows what the robots look like and how exactly they work.
Effective immediately. Due to Tarrant County's executive order, all Trinity Metro customers are required to wear face masks through August 3rd.
Thank you very much for being on the programme with us today. So give us an idea of what is the plan in Singapore?
Well, Singapore is slowly beginning to relax some of the restrictions that were put in place on April the 7th. They don't call it a lockdown here. The government calls it a circuit breaker. But, you know, by any other name, it is effectively a partial lockdown. What we're seeing today is a small cluster of businesses being allowed to open. These are things like hairdressers for a simple haircut, no longer than an hour, for instance. You can go to the pet store now and even to the bakery to buy some desserts and cakes. But all of this is being extremely carefully controlled and managed. And the Singapore government has been relying on technology to ensure that the people who do go into these shops, go into the offices, they have to virtually check in and check out using an app called Safe Entry. And that's because the government wants to keep tabs on people in case there's a new cluster of infections. In fact, technology has become so much a part of the response here in Singapore that if you go to one of the parks here, for instance, you might bump into this robot dog. I think you can see pictures of him on your screen right now. He's being trialed in some Singapore parks to encourage people to maintain their social distance from one another. So certainly a vision of the future from Singapore where some people have liked it and others not so much.
Digit, the walking delivery bot. With self-driving delivery vehicles gaining more and more traction, Ford decided to take it a step further, teaming up with Agility Robotics to bring your packages right up to your door. The robot is equipped with human-like arms and legs and actually carries your package right up to your front door, walking, using technology to navigate its path, taking stairs, staying balanced on rough terrain, or even avoiding obstacles.
这是咱们村的无人机啊！你不戴口罩就不要出去，不要乱跑，记得赶紧回家，回家洗洗手，对吧？注意一下卫生，对吧？咱们村这么多人都说你都说不住，非得派无人机过来飞你。大爷，这是非常时期，你不戴口罩又往外跑，对吧？那雪过几个月也能化了，对不对？在家里边待着不舒服吗？对吧？又有吃的又有喝的，刚过了个年。 你干嘛老往外跑，对吧？过几年也能收拾，别笑了，赶紧骑你的3轮车回家，对吧？没事别往出跑，你看口罩也不戴，你还看啥？赶紧走，对吧？回家好好待着去，非常时期啊，赶紧回去。
对面那个电动车上装着粉色等分贝的大哥，请你戴上口罩啊，戴上口罩。打电话那帅哥。 你口罩呢？反应干啥呀？迎面走过来那美女边上的那位帅哥，看到你戴着口罩了啊，把口罩戴好，戴好。边走边吃了几位美女，抓紧的把口罩戴上，东西可以回家吃。
小朋友，现在是非常时期，别在外面溜达，口罩也没戴，赶快往家走。 现在这冠状病毒多严重啊！快跑！别再出来了啊！在家好好待着，为社会做贡献。
You've probably seen or heard of contact-free deliveries. Drone companies say that concept plays right into their strength. 13 Investigates reporter Joe Bartels shows you how the pandemic could open the doors for the golden age of drones.
Experts continue to preach social distancing, that is, staying away from others as much as possible. It's the most effective way to slow the spread of COVID-19. Drones are being used for contactless delivery, everything from medicine to supplies, and Nevada is right at the heart of research and development. This is a recent Live City test in Reno for an unmanned aerial system.
So, Mr. President, we're going to go ahead and kick off the operation.
Polish President Andrzej Duda is interested. Drone America flew a drone from the top floor parking garage of City Hall and landed it in an area nestled along the picturesque Truckee River. The importance? Successfully demonstrating navigating and flying a drone among buildings, cars, and other manned aircraft. Drone America, based in Nevada, is working with the Federal Aviation Administration to show how drones can safely fly and navigate the skies over our heads and homes.
Savannah Police Department. Due to the current health emergency, members of the public are reminded to keep a safe distance of 6 feet from others while in public places to reduce the spread of the coronavirus. Please help us keep you safe. Thank you for your cooperation.
The 13
social distance of at least 6 feet. Again, please maintain social distancing. Need help stop the spread of this virus, reduce the death toll, and save lives. For your own safety and your family's safety, please maintain social distancing. Thank you for your cooperation. We are all in this together.
City in southeastern China trying to crack down on jaywalkers by publicly shaming them. That's according to local newspapers. The Beijing News. It reports the government installed these poles which spray mist at folks who try to cross when the light is red. The system uses facial recognition technology and takes jaywalkers' pictures. The pictures appear on a huge display screen in the street along with the people's names. There are also plans to link the system to cell phones so that offenders can receive fines via text message.
So here's the rebound rundown tonight. The state's health department will be paying a Virginia company more than $6 million to expand its contact tracing program. But we've discovered the government contractor, Maximus Inc., has little experience with contact tracing, but a history of complaints. Its own workers have complained about being underpaid. The company has also been accused of underbidding projects, understaffing jobs, and underperforming. Most recently, its employees contracted by the CDC to inform the public about COVID-19 complained their own call center was not adhering to CDC guidelines.
Well, it's a bit like buying war bonds during the war. I mean, there are things that we might not ordinarily do, but in these circumstances, to keep people safe, to save lives, and to save people's livelihoods and get them back to work, if that tool is going to help people do that, then this may be one of the sacrifices we need to make.
That you're negative, but you can't be walking around the building. You need to go back upstairs, you need to go back to your room. Okay?
First is my house, one.
We need to go back to your house then.
Two, I'm trying to go for a fresh air. Literally, I've been stuck in the house for 7 days now.
I know,
and I'm negative. You guys are actually, it's going to be more cases, literally. There's positive people here.
And I get that you're saying that you're negative, but the whole building, regardless of who's negative and who's positive, is in lockdown.
So you guys
need to go back to your
taking
house.
the people that are positive out of the building.
This building is in complete lockdown. No one's going in or out.
You guys allow a chick to go for a dog every day to go for a walk.
I haven't been here. I haven't let anyone out.
Every day I see a girl coming out here with the dogs to go for a walk. And you guys announced in the Daniel government, they announced that you can go for supervised walks. So I'm asking 3 officers to come with me. I just want to go for some fresh air.
You're not allowed outside, mate.
Well, in our new normal, experts say that contact tracing will play an increasingly important role. Tracers help to track those who may have been exposed to coronavirus and those that they've come in contact with along the way, a focused approach to slowing the disease's spread. Paterson, New Jersey is a city of 150,000 outside of New York City. It's seen the success of a contact tracing program firsthand. The city is one of the most densely populated in the country, so they doubled the staff on their tracing team to fight the outbreak.
Factors we have found that have played into this is gathering homes for things like birthday parties, for funerals, and for Bible study groups.
We've continually heard about how coronavirus is spreading and where new cases are emerging from. But how do we actually know this information?
Hello? Hi, this is Hiba. I'm a contact tracer from Yolo County Public Health.
This is the phone call you'll receive if you've been exposed to COVID-19. It comes from a contact tracer.
Contact tracing is very important. It's very important because this virus it spreads fast.
We need to isolate infected people so they don't spread the disease to others.
Contact tracers are the individuals who are actually tracking the spread of coronavirus.
It kind of sounds like a little bit of like a disease detective.
Yeah.
State employee who asked to be kept anonymous said, "We are being told we have no choice in the redirect and may be subject to discipline if we do not comply in performing contact tracing that a lot of us have no interest in doing. A lot of us fear retaliation if we don't comply. I myself never felt owned by my government until now." Labor law experts say it is legal for these employees to be mandated to do a job outside of their own due to two things: their civil service classification, as well as the current state of emergency we're in.
This could happen anywhere. This could happen at my school.
Districts now train students and staff how to prepare if they face an attack. Most students today have experienced a lockdown of their school because of an emergency on or near campus.
We come here to learn and get an education. And if you have to worry about a threat of not making it home that night, then you're not going to be learning that much.
At Putnam City Schools, they have spent $10 million in the past 4 years on school security.
Things have dramatically turned.
Their network of surveillance cameras are monitored 24/7.
We have someone in here in the dispatch watching the cameras, monitoring the alarms, making sure our schools are safe and secure even through the night.
900 cameras district-wide.
Probably about 2,000 motion detection devices, about 200 sound detection devices.
And those cameras are now fully equipped with facial recognition.
program today, which will certainly grow into something larger and larger, and that is a community contact tracing program. We've done contact tracing all along. That a contact is a person who's been exposed to someone that we document to have the COVID infection. When we find someone who has a COVID infection, those people are immediately isolated. But we also work with them to figure out who their contacts were. But the purpose of this program is to bring on people. We may bring on up to 50 or even more as the program grows and as we see the needs for it. As we do more testing, we will find more and more people who have COVID-19. And again, we'll isolate every one of them, and we will find every one of their contacts, and we will make sure that they stay quarantined, and we'll check in with them every day. We're going to do a more complete job, and we're going to do a more meticulous job of making it less and less possible for others in the county to run into someone with COVID-19 infection. It's not just our county. There are going to be thousands of people hired who will be these contact investigators throughout the state. And this is occurring in many, many other states as well, perhaps all of the states in our country. We will be giving intensive training to these people, identifying and finding contacts. Some of the people we find are going to have trouble being isolated. For instance, if they live in a home where there's only one bathroom and there are 3 or 4 other people living there and those people don't have COVID infection, we're not going to be able to keep the person in that home. Every person who we're isolating, for instance, needs to have their own bathroom. And so we'll be moving people like this into other kinds of housing that we have available.
At first glance, you'd think a tornado went through here.
Unfortunately, in-person service will stop for now.
After a month, Bristow First United Methodist Church is shut down again. This time, it's not because of a virus.
This is the room that they came into both times through this window.
A group of what looks like young teens slipped in through the window of the church's baby room. What happened next speaks for itself.
The damage happened last night between 4 and 10-ish.
Both floors are trashed, but most of the mess is in the children's education wing.
There's paint on the walls, vulgar words on the walls, glass broken, stained glass broken.
Senior pastor Kira Calhoun treads through the shards to get in and out of her office. She's still optimistic.
We're going to rise up from it.
The carpet is ruined. They'll need about 200 new Bibles and hymnals and a new coat of paint.
I'm thankful that they didn't do very much damage in here in the sanctuary.
To Randy Kazay, this isn't just a building. Finding this place was his miracle.
I would probably go back to drinking like I was before, and so it has transformed me.
In a house of worship, vulgarity still etched on its front doors. Today, we met crews continuing to clean up the mess left behind. Police say on Saturday, February 10th, church leaders who were getting ready for their morning service were alarmed to find their hallway covered in chemicals released by 2 fire extinguishers. When looking around for other damage, they also found a rock likely used to break through this window in one of their rooms.
It's been really hard for the church community.
Jonathan Russell is with the Oregon Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. This is one of their churches.
For them, this worship experience is what holds a church family together. And so when they have that taken from them, it is really sad. It's really hard.
He says about 70 people attend the church, and in the last few weeks they've been scattered, unable to worship here.
It's devastating, in fact, that somebody would take a place that's supposed to be a safe place where people can gather for hope and for healing. Somebody to deface that, to destroy that, it is devastating.
Just a quiet community church.
Small and secluded.
And I guess maybe it's too quiet.
Because whoever came around the Shorewood Hills United Methodist Church in the last 36 hours wasn't seen, but this damage certainly made their presence known.
It is just a sickening feeling.
Rex Barker has been a member here for 15 years, and while the 70-year-old church has had some problems in the past, nothing compares to this.
It's just a little beyond comprehension.
These donated 100-year-old pews were set on fire.
But the smoke damage is horrible. There's a 1/4 inch of soot all over everything.
But miraculously, it didn't spread to the all-pine ceiling. It put itself out.
From lack of oxygen or greater power.
But they can't breathe a sigh of relief yet, because outside these doors, one air conditioning unit is destroyed, the other severely damaged. The copper from inside was cut, but found in the trees next to the church.
Basically just destroyed the units and got nothing out of it.
Those can be replaced, but this community-built church could not.
It's a miracle it didn't burn down.
And they pray that beyond these soot-laden cobwebs, investigators can find some answers.
A church in the New Haven, Connecticut parish at which the Knights of Columbus was founded has been vandalized. Words and various symbols, including a satanic one, were painted on the outside doors of the church. For the moment, St. Joseph remains closed. The incident is just the latest in a growing trend of vandalism against Catholic churches within the past week. Joining me now on Skype is Father John Paul Walker, pastor of St. Mary Parish, which includes St. Joseph Church. Father John Paul, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming on. First off, I want to start off by saying I am so sorry that we are speaking under these circumstances.
I am as well, but thank you very much for having me on.
Well, we're so happy that you could be on with us. I know that you're still assessing the situation, but if you don't mind, can you tell us what went through your mind when you saw this scene, this kind of attack and vandalism?
The first thing that went through my mind is, oh my, now it's come here. You know, I've been, as all of you have, following the stories in Catholic churches all across the country that have been attacked, vandalized, desecrated, but it really hits home when it's your own church.
A Lycoming County man has been arrested after police say he broke into a local church and tore it apart. As devastating as this is to happen just days before Christmas, church members have decided to turn their heartbreak into compassion. Eyewitness News reporter Morgan Parrish has the story.
It's really been a miracle of God's people. This is God's church and God's people coming together and to show their love at this Christmas season.
It has been the nightmare before Christmas at Emmanuel Baptist Church on 4 Mile Drive. This past Saturday, 32-year-old Steve Williams allegedly broke into the church and trashed the place.
Put holes in the wall, wrote some very bad things on the walls, shredded our PA system, turned pews over.
As you can see, broken glass remains shattered across the floor, Bibles are thrown on the ground, and Christmas decorations are knocked over. Church members say it was a hate crime that brought out a range of emotions within them.
First emotions was just heartbreak, the memories and the hurt of knowing that somebody could do this, a little bit of anger inside, but quickly, we've been able to forgive and say we can love this man.
According to police, Smith also got undressed at the church, leaving his clothes in the sanctuary. He was then arrested while walking naked.
Who are your brothers and sisters? Why are you doing this?
Pastor Godwin Kalu is heartbroken and worried. Last night, a car crashed into his church, shattering a huge corner of the building and everything inside. A trio of teenagers was seen running from the scene. Police believe they stole the sedan and lost control while on a joyride. Reverend Kalu isn't buying that.
This is a straight road. So it's a deliberate act. They just deliberately, boom, inside that.
I was shocked. I was speechless.
The pastor and many of his parishioners believe they're being targeted, maybe even the victim of hate crimes. This is the 5th or 6th time in the past few months that the International Assembly of God Church has suffered extensive property damage, vandalism, and theft, including tens of thousands of dollars worth of TVs, computers, and audio and music equipment that later turned up for sale online. Kalu says this doesn't feel random.
It's like a continuation of what happened before. You know, they broke the door, they broke the window, they smashed a couple of things inside.
Police are still investigating the April and May incidents. They've made no arrests.
Well, it's First Baptist in Tillman's Corner, and you see these broken out windows there. The pastor says they are acts of vandalism, but surveillance video may hold some clues. In this surveillance video from a nearby business, you can see a person loitering around First Baptist Church in Tillman's Corner, then going to a building with windows, apparently ripping a storm drain down, and then breaking windows. Pastor Derek Allen says no one entered the property or stole anything, but someone broke 8 windows, and most seriously...
And then they broke out an entire glass window at our Welcome Center, which is one of the main places that our guests come in. On Sunday. So they just took a baseball bat or some kind of object to it and just broke the windows.
Allen says the vandalism occurred between 11 and 11:30 Wednesday night. A report issued by Mobile Police classifies it as first-degree criminal mischief.
This is our prayer room, so came in and took out the prayer room window.
Pastor Allen was getting a money figure on the damage today. What does he think about someone who would do this?
We forgive them not because they deserve to be forgiven, but because God has forgiven us when we didn't deserve to be forgiven. And so we just extend that forgiveness right to them. Those are our thoughts towards them.
Tonight, a church in Piketon is closed, boarded up after vandals broke in, stole and destroyed everything they could get their hands on. Souls Harbor Ministries church owners say everything they worked so hard for is gone. Good evening, and we thank you for joining us at 6. I'm Colleen Marshall.
I'm Mark Taylor. It's a story you'll see only here on NBC4. Our Rob Sneed reports from Pike County with a look at how this community is handling the situation.
Seeing the church in this condition is devastating for the family who owns this church that's over 100 years old. They said that vandals came in and kicked through the front door. That's where this plywood is. They even broke through the window here. They went to the back of the church and smashed the window back there. Right now, church is closed, and they're just trying to figure out how they're going to rebuild. The boards on the doors and windows don't even begin to tell it all. The damage inside of the church, much worse.
It's not bad enough we're going to steal from a church and vandalize it. It's just trashing it. It takes a special kind of person to be that awful.
None of this makes any sense to Lisa Coy. Her father-in-law was the pastor of this church until his death nearly 2 years ago. She wanted to show us the inside of this church, but couldn't because the damage is so bad, you can't go in. Instead, she gave us these. Pictures of the now broken organ, the pulpit vandalized, the heat and air system, the audio system, all gone.
It's so disturbing that we come by to get, like, my father-in-law's Bible, and it seems to be one of the ones that pages were ripped out of.
Vandals threw buckets of paint everywhere and stole one of the church's bells from the roof. It was more than 100 years old. The door may be closed for now, but that's not stopping its members from having church.
Christmas Eve began with another church vandalized in Crawley. It's the 8th case of church vandalism in the area since July. Jamie Angel spoke with the pastor this morning and has the latest. Jamie.
Well, this morning I got a call from my deacon saying that our church got victim of vandalism again, and as you can see, Hope Open arrived, and this is what we found.
For the 8th time in less than 6 months, a predominantly black church in the city of Crowley is targeted by vandals. Early this morning, just one day before Christmas, 2 bricks were thrown at the front door of Jerusalem Baptist Church. It's the second time the small church was targeted.
We're just working with the local authorities to see if we can put a stop to this.
Crowley police are leading the investigation into those attacks, along with assistance from state police and the FBI.
Church vandals strike again. More windows at a Cranston church broken after somebody threw rocks through them for the second time this month. The pastor there, Father Adam Young, tweeted these photos today showing the damage to 3 stained glass windows at the St. Paul's Church. This comes just 2 weeks after Father Young found holes in 2 windows there and rocks and glass on the ground. Cranston police are investigating that incident.
Authorities are looking into vandalism at a church and cemetery in Spartanburg County. Impact Community Church had a sign and crosses defaced. A nearby cemetery was also the target of the vandalism.
Fox Carolina Jarvis Robertson spoke with church members tonight. He joins us live now with what they had to say. Jarvis.
Well, guys, I'm right here at the intersection of Reedville Road and Nazareth Church Road. Now, just behind me, you can see the sign for Impact Community Church. As of right now, it is clean. Also, I'm standing here in front of the 3 crosses that were vandalized as well. Now, things have been cleaned up. However, it definitely left those church members in shock.
I love my church. So I was like, I cannot believe this has happened.
Tony Quillen is an elder at Impact Community Church in Spartanburg County. To his surprise, Tuesday morning, he received a call letting him know that someone vandalized the church's property.
On the property and the crosses we have were vandalized and spray painted with obscene messages.
He says authorities told him the vandalism happened Monday night. Now, if you were to pass by the sign and crosses today on Reedville Road, you wouldn't notice anything was wrong. That's because the community stepped up to help clean up that mess.
Signorama on Reedville Road came out, great people. They removed the sign, they took it to their shop, they cleaned the sign, they made it new.
And the 3 crosses were refurbished by the original maker.
He came out today and he sanded the obscene messages off and he restained them and he made the crosses new again.
Tony told me their church isn't the only one in the area dealing with vandalism. Nazareth Presbyterian Church Cemetery was hit also. You can see here where someone spray painted on this tombstone a message talking about a red beast. Also the words "Satan reigns" painted on this bench.
Well, of course, it breaks your heart to begin with because you know that someone is in pain and they are hurting, and that's a way to act out.
Through everything Impact Community Church is dealing with, they continue to share the message of forgiveness and feels this incident will push them to do even more for the community.
I think it reminds us of why we're here.
It's this graffiti that's upsetting some pastors and church members across Oak Cliff right now.
When I saw it, it bothered me. It really troubled me that someone would come to this level and stoop to this level.
Offensive messages, faith leaders say, found spray painted in bright red across the walls of at least 6 churches in the Singing Hills community on Sunday.
And a lot of the churches have the same message. They go up on the steeple and write it.
At Beth Eden Baptist Church, some unknown vandals climbed the roof, painting the words "lie" along 3 sides of the church's steeple. Pastor Clarence Preston had to address the crime with the congregation.
It was very intentional, purposeful and intentional to do such things.
A couple of blocks away, even more disturbing messages left across the walls at St. Luke Presbyterian Church. Across the street, you can see folks at St. Philip's tried scrubbing the graffiti off.
Something got to be done on this here. We got to check something out here.
Bishop Ray Campbell pastors the Ideal Family Church nearby. He says faith leaders are galvanizing and working with police to address the vandalism.
This is at King James Bible Baptist Church. Right now, 2020, April the 9th, 2020, we got all these police officers. Hey, people of God, this is real. This is real deal. I told y'all they was coming to our church today. I told y'all last night that our church gonna be next. And here we go. We next. They here right now on the church property before we even have service. We about to get ready to have service, about to preach. Thank the Lord, we're gonna have some officers here, and I'm about to preach the word of God. I'm about to preach the word of God to these officers, and they about to give us salutation, but it's all good. God is in control. God gonna get glorified in this. The Lord Jesus Christ gonna be magnified in this. The Lord Jesus Christ gonna be uplifting this. And so, hey, we ain't gonna fault the mayor. We ain't mad at the mayor. We're gonna pray for the mayor. We're gonna pray for those in authority.
Yeah, how you doing, sir?
If I can see your license, I'm giving you an opportunity to move.
You can't be a good Christian and not go to church unless you're sick or something like that. The Bible says Jesus loved the church. Jesus.
So even though the governor said twice today that you can't stop in parking lot church services, y'all still going to try to stop it?
I'm not aware of that.
Kentucky State Police troopers cited license plates and left notices on every car's windshield while the owners inside congregating, celebrating Easter at Maryville Baptist Church. The notices say those inside the church need to quarantine for 14 days. Kentucky's governor asked churches to close the doors on Easter Sunday so there wouldn't be any in-person gatherings, preventing the possible spread of coronavirus.
These agendas that it's one thing to keep us safe. It's another when it's starting to become a takeover, and I'm starting to feel like I'm in a communist country.
Among the Sunday crowd were a lot of new faces, including these two, who came all the way from New Jersey.
We really wanted to gather for Easter. I have never not went to church for Easter, and I refuse to do it. Even with this situation going on, my Lord is more important.
One right that I have is the freedom of assembly. And that's what we did this morning. We got to go to the store, right? Because it's essential and everybody understands that. And nobody's questioning, are you putting your neighbor in danger in a Walmart? This is the same when it comes to this building.
Yes.
Or any building of faith.
There's been a lot of pushback toward the church inviting people to attend service in person. Early Sunday morning, we found nails scattered in the driveway leading in and out of the church parking lot. The pastor here believes those nails were intentionally placed.
I felt sorry for the folks that don't have anything better to do than throw nails in the driveway. I mean, what do you do? If you want to confront me, come and talk to me.
This Easter Sunday, people also had the option to watch from their cars or listen through a speaker. Frank Harris says he doesn't usually attend church, but he and his wife showed up to stand up against the strict rules the governor put in place.
We just believe that this is a giant overreaction by the state. They don't have the authority to tell businesses or other people what they can do and what they can't do in this situation. The most they should be doing is giving advice and allowing people to make up their own minds.
We're just here to have church. That's all we're doing.
And the government now, what does opening up look like? You know, which activities have, like schools, have such benefit and be done in a way that the risk of transmission is very low?
Yeah.
And which activities, like mass gatherings, may be, in a certain sense, more optional. And so until you're widely vaccinated, those may not come back at all. And so until you're widely vaccinated, those may not come back at all.
I think that's a very prudent measure.
He studies the emission of expiratory aerosols, tiny particles you can't see by the naked eye that carry virus.
People don't think about this risk because they don't see it, but it's there. And there's a lot of evidence now that COVID-19 is transmitted via these very small expiratory particles that you can't see, but that you emit a tremendous number of when you sing.
But at Crossroads Community Church in Yuba City, Senior Pastor Jim Clark says they won't be silenced.
To be honest with you, I think it's ridiculous, personally. I really believe that it is stepping on the constitutional rights from the Bill of Rights of all churches.
Pastor Clark says they're taking precautions like distancing seats, checking temperatures, and capping attendance at 25%. The church reopened for in-person service in May before it got the state's blessing.
The worsening pandemic is once again affecting houses of worship. While people can still attend, the state is banning singing and chanting during religious services. CBS 47's AJ Cotto has the reasoning and reaction to the mandate.
I spoke to the executive pastor here at People's Church, who says they'll be following the order, but says singing is a major part of worship. California's dimmer switch on reopening plans is also turning down the volume. An updated health order states singing is now banned in houses of worship.
It's not just the preaching or the prayer or the coming together, but being able to lift our voices, as the Bible says, as unto the Lord and sing together.
Brad Levy, the executive pastor at People's Church, says the mandate means they'll be doing things a bit differently.
We will not be having congregational singing. We will still have a worship team that will lead in kind of an environment or an ambiance of prayer and worship, but not congregational singing.
The order came Wednesday as Governor Gavin Newsom announced plans to scale back reopening in certain sectors and areas.
We were able to bend the curve in the state of California. We're going to bend this curve again.
The CDC previously warned against singing and transmission of the virus. The new health order reads, convening in a congregational setting of multiple different households to practice a personal faith carries a relatively higher risk for widespread transmission of the COVID-19 virus. Activities such as singing and chanting negate the risk reduction achieved through 6 feet of physical distancing. Places of worship must therefore discontinue singing and chanting activities. Earlier this week, New Covenant Community Church immediately stopped in-person services.
A deal reached by the National Football League and the NFL Players Association bans players from attending any indoor church services that are above 25% capacity. Alongside its restrictions on attending worship services, the collective bargaining agreement also prohibits players from attending indoor nightclubs and bars, indoor concerts, professional sports games, and indoor parties that include 15 or more people. The deal has not been publicly released, but NBC Sports made no mention of any restrictions on attending protests. Meanwhile, the NFL's Twitter account has been sharing and celebrating pictures of players engaging in protests around the country. If players do violate the rules, NBC Sports speculates that teams may rely on contacts within the community to contact the teams if and when violations are witnessed, or possibly even using a tip line.
The University of North Texas College Democrats are allying with Satanists and witches to try and shut down the school's Young Conservatives of Texas chapter. And so it's the stuff that you would normally expect. And one of the individuals that these people have targeted, and folks, whether you believe in this stuff or not, or you think it's all goofy, they really are Satanists and witches. They really do seances and stuff. So again, you can think it's goofy. They're actually trying to put hexes on people. So Kelly Neidert is one of the young conservatives who is fighting against this. She's a chairman of a conservative youth group at the University of North Texas. And so, Kelly, thank you for joining us. Thank you for standing up for your beliefs and not being bullied by these people. You're one of the few conservatives that are willing to do this on a college campus. Oddly enough, it always seems to be women, but good on you for doing it. So you're obviously not in school right now at the time. I don't know if North Texas is planning on going back in the fall or not, or if you have an update on that. But what is what are some of the things that you're dealing with right now? Is it the typical threats, trying to bully you out of going back to college? Are they doing witch hex seances on you? What has it been like to be attacked by these Democrats and Satanists?
So first we had the College Democrats chapter, and then some Gay Alliance chapter, and another 3 liberal organizations on campus create a petition to get us shut down. It got, last time I checked, it had 2,500 signatures on it. We have 40,000 people on campus, so that's, it's not big, but it's not a small number. But aside from that, I've had a lot of these students constantly messaging me, constantly tweeting at me. A lot of it's just hate, but some of it is actual threats. And then we did have a few days ago a self-proclaimed witch start DMing me on Facebook. And then when I posted about that, we got more witches, and they have hexed us. They've hailed Satan, all of this insane stuff all over our Twitter, all over our Facebook. And it's gotten really out of hand. There seems to be quite a few of the self-proclaimed witches in the last few days. So yeah, that's what's been going on with us.
Yeah, and so for the radio listeners, if you watch the video here, we're showing the images and screenshots from these quote-unquote witches. Again, folks, they actually believe this stuff whether you do or not. And I'm not necessarily giving them any credence for their weird hexes, but there's no doubt there's satanic energy that comes down on you when you try to fight this stuff. And I'm sure that Kelly is probably dealing with that as well. But I'm a little confused because I read this. What exactly are they upset with your group or with you about? It seems to be the same thing where they just claim hate speech or make a claim, but they never show any quotes. They never give any examples. Is this just because you're a conservative and so therefore they deem you as bad and so you must be canceled?
I believe so. I think a lot of it is what's going on right now with Antifa out there and Black Lives Matter. I think that a lot of these students, these leftists, wanted a project, so they just decided they'd cancel us again. We've gotten, throughout our last couple semesters at UNT, we've gotten canceled before, I guess. People have tried to cancel us, but it's never been to this extent. So I really think that they just kind of wanted a project to take on, because we haven't been on campus since the beginning of March. So we're not out there doing any events or anything. We're just laying low. It's summer. So I would say they're definitely just trying to get rid of us because we're conservative. They say that that's not it, but we're the only active conservative group on campus.
Satanic Temple. Satanic Temple? We're atheists and we're Satanists. Are you for or against Trump? We're against Trump. Why? Why do you think? He's going to take most of our rights away. Not happy about that. We want to protect you.
Because it's where it comes off in the metal. Going up the
To those with a fire for a wild love of liberty, Lucifer prefers friendship. To satisfy the mind, which holds an insatiable thirst for knowledge and understanding, we aim to learn of the world around us. universe was not made as its pretended creator would have us believe. In this, we despise the one named